See, the person who stores what he eats as fat has got a problem. And that problem is what doctors call insulin resistance. Now, this is kind of a complicated idea, but I'm going to make it as simple as I know how. Those of us with insulin resistance make too much insulin when we eat or drink foods that turn into sugar in our body. If you're fat around the middle, you got a fat belly, you probably have insulin resistance. The one thing insulin resistant people have in common is a big belly. They're fat around the middle. And you don't have to be hugely fat. It begins when you start getting bigger in the tummy. The fatter and bigger your belly is, the more insulin resistant you probably are. And the fatter your belly gets, the more insulin you make when you eat carbohydrates. You know, the word carbohydrate is what my grandpa used to call a $2 word. So I'm going to explain that $2 word on my 50-cent education. Carbohydrates are any food or drink that our body turns into sugar as soon as we eat it, like potatoes, corn, sugar, soft drinks, cake, cookies, bread. Here's the problem in a nutshell. Whenever you eat anything with sugar or anything that your body turns into sugar, in other words, a $2 carbohydrate, your pancreas, everybody's pancreas, skinny, thin, doesn't matter who it is, your pancreas, a little organ right below your liver, releases insulin to keep your blood sugar at a certain level. This is everybody. Insulin is a hormone that your body uses to drive sugar out of your bloodstream and into your muscles to use as energy. And insulin also drives sugar and fat that you eat into your fat cells to store for energy between meals and while you sleep. Insulin is normal and healthy and life-giving, but for people who tend to get fat, we've got this problem called insulin resistance. If you have insulin resistance, and you probably do if you have a fat belly, then when you eat carby, sugary foods, your muscles, your organs, even your fat cells resist the drive of insulin to put more sugar in them. They don't want any more sugar. They refuse accepting any more. It's like your muscles say, no more, no thank you. They resist the drive of insulin to force the sugar into them. And you know, this is dangerous because your body has got to get this sugar out of your blood. It can't stay there or you die. So your pancreas makes more insulin to force these resistant cells to accept the sugar. Now here's the problem. When insulin levels are high in your body, you cannot burn fat. You can't burn the fat you just ate, and you can't burn the fat around your belly for energy. The problem goes even further for the big belly insulin resistant person. The more insulin you release and the longer your insulin level stays up, the more of the food you just ate is locked up in your fat and can't be burned as energy. You just ate a big bowl of cereal, but your muscles are insulin resistant. So you made too much insulin to force the sugar into your muscles. This high insulin locks a big part of this cereal up in your fat cells. In other words, your fat belly stole your breakfast, and if it steals a part of your breakfast, you know what? It leaves you hungry. If you're still hungry after eating, you know what you'll do? You'll eat more. You'll eat more to make up for the cereal your fat cells are holding on to. And if you eat a snack cake and a soft drink between meals to make up for this cereal that your fat cells stole from you, because you're still hungry, you're just going to spike your insulin again, keeping your fat locked up even longer, so you can't burn the fat in your belly between meals. For the thin, skinny person, it's a different situation. His insulin goes up, his muscles accept that sugar, they don't resist it, and this energy makes him feel good, and he stores whatever extra calories he ate in his fat cells temporarily. Then his insulin level goes down, and he'll burn the fat that he stored in his fat cells between meals and while he sleeps. He feels good, he doesn't gain weight. For the thin guy, everything's normal and cool. But for you, eating a high sugar meal is a problem because your insulin levels go higher and last longer than the skinny guys. You got a big belly, you're insulin resistant, you produce too much insulin. When your insulin is high, the burning of fat in your body is shut down. This makes sense because if the body is burning fat, it doesn't need to burn the sugar you just ate for energy. So insulin shuts down the burning of fat to help clear the sugar out of the blood faster. High insulin stores food as fat and shuts off the burning of fat. When the person who tends to get fat eats sugary foods, their insulin is higher and lasts longer than the thin person. Now I want to tell you what happens when insulin is low. Without insulin, it's almost impossible to store calories as fat. Without insulin, your fat cells start releasing the fat they've stored to be used as energy. You can see an example of this, starving or fasting, when you watch these people on these Survivor TV shows. You know, these people might lose 25 to 30 pounds in a few weeks when they don't have anything to eat. The interesting question is this: if you don't have any food, what does the body eat? What does your body eat when you, as a person, can't eat? It eats fat. It eats its own fat. Its own fat stored around its belly and butt and chinny chin chins. When you're starving, your own belly fat supplies 85% of your energy needs. The interesting thing about starvation and fasting is this: what is the one type of food the starving and fasting person is really doing without? Of course, they're not eating food, but their body is eating still. The starving body isn't doing without fat. They're eating their own fat. And they're not doing without protein either, because their body breaks down their own tissues for protein. The only thing these people are really doing without is carbohydrates. This is what's so funny to me when people say eating a high-fat diet is dangerous. You see, your body converts some of the sugar and nearly all the fat you eat into body fat and stores it in your fat cells after you eat. This is natural. This is what happens every day of your life. The normal weight person releases fat from their own body between meals and during sleep, and this body fat that they release amounts to an average of 60% of their daily energy. Even normal weight people are on a 60% fat diet. Everyone is living on this high-fat diet and doesn't know it. Even if you go on a low-fat, low-calorie diet, while you're on that diet and you're losing weight, if you count the amount of fat that your body's releasing as you lose weight as a part of the food that you're eating, which it really is, even people on a low-fat, low-calorie diet are really on a high-fat, high-calorie diet. You know, even vegans and vegetarians who would rather die than eat an animal, even these vegans are eating their own human animal fat between meals and while they sleep. This living on fat is normal, and if your body does it right, you will not be fat. But with those of us who are insulin resistant, it is our high insulin levels which block us from burning this fat at a rate that would allow us to remain slim. When I used to eat cereal, my insulin was high. The burning of fat would be shut down, which would cause my fat belly to steal part of my breakfast. You know, if I have something and you take it and hold it and don't let me use it, you've stolen my stuff. If you eat and some of that food is kept in storage by high insulin levels, then you can't use it for energy. Then your fat belly has stolen your breakfast. And if your breakfast has been stolen, you'll still be hungry. But with the bacon, eggs, and butter, my insulin is kept low. I get to use those calories for energy. I get to use the fat I've already got stored in my belly. I get to use these calories for energy. And I get to use the fat I've already got stored in my belly to burn between meals and while I sleep. You know, with low insulin, my body is free to burn my fat for energy. I won't be left hungry because keeping insulin low keeps the flow of energy from my fat belly wide open. What I'm about to tell you is something that I live every day. I live this life. I live every day with complete control over my appetite because my fat is not locked up by high insulin levels. Getting to use these calories gives me energy all the time. And even better, I have control without using willpower or struggling at all. Listen, willpower is great. And if you can exercise that willpower, that's fantastic. But willpower cannot forever overcome human biology. You've got to get the help of your human biology to assist your willpower if you want long-term success. You'll notice your appetite going way down and your energy level going way up as long as you keep your insulin low by not eating, or even worse, drinking carbs. The key to why butter makes your pants fall off is this: when you replace the carbs you took out of your diet and you add back fat, it keeps you satisfied. It reduces your appetite. It gives you control over your appetite for the first time in your life. Without carbs spiking a high insulin response, fat will give you appetite control like you would not believe until you experience yourself. You know, it's the one thing people always tell me when they go on this diet. And this is how I know they're really doing the diet right. They always say how they have control over their appetite for the first time in years. Sometimes they forget to eat and think back, did I eat? I experience this all the time. Not only that, but you can go hours and hours without eating. You'll start burning the fat in your belly instead of storing more of it. This will reduce your insulin resistance. Your fat belly won't steal your breakfast. You'll be able to eat and use that energy, and the energy being released from your fat belly to live your life with very little hunger. You won't have to eat more later to make up for the food your fat cells stole from you. You'll start feeling better and having more energy. You'll break the vicious cycle by directly attacking the root of the problem, which is too much insulin. Listen, you've been struggling with this hunger problem your whole life. Struggling with food and an out-of-control appetite your whole life. The best thing to do is to attack the problem where it lives. You've got an insulin problem. Stop the insulin problem. I'm going to say that again. Stop the insulin problem. Your body produces insulin when you eat carbs. When you eliminate the problem, high insulin caused by too much sugary foods and drinks, you attack and defeat the root cause of your fat collecting problem and the root cause of your appetite control problem. Listen, when you eat eggs and bacon instead of cereal, then you stop your fat cells from stealing your breakfast.